And a great afternoon to you guys. Thank you for coming back to hang out in the chat room with us. We are so glad that you do that every Saturday because of what you do. We can do what we do. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Hello to Dr. Nicole today.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm kind of excited because, the new Little Mermaid movie came out yesterday.
Oh,
Um, yeah, and so I'm excited to go see it tonight with my little man.
mm-hmm,
Um, so that's it's one of those movies that they did a remake of and they
mm-hmm.
changed the characters and people were really upset about it.
A young lady can really sing too, can she?
Yes, she really can. I think this happened too with Annie. People were upset when I can't remember the little girl's name, but when she um did the remake of Annie, people were very upset about it. And you know how people get on social media and they say everything that they have to say. And
I
I
think
think
change makes people really, uncomfortable, like
yeah,
in
yeah.
a bigger way than maybe we ever imagined. But you know, um, we're in a world now where media is trying to represent
Hmm.
everybody,
Yes,
every sector. So,
yes.
I
And I
mean,
love that.
hmm,
I love that because I feel like our kids need to see themselves represented in the same way that everybody else, other
oh,
people's
I
kids.
do too. Now, I can't really say that I want everything to be remakes because just like when I taught school, Andy Griffith shows were used
Uh-huh.
to build characters in character building classes or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that's kind of not how necessarily it was. Some of what I saw on Andy Griffith, I watch it to this day.
Uh-huh.
Some of what I saw reminded me a lot of being at my grandma's house and how she cooked. She wasn't walking around in heels
Uh-huh.
cooking, but making sure that
Yeah.
everybody ate, even feeding people in the community like Aunt B does
Uh-huh.
but you know, kind of like the Cosbys when the Cosbys came out,
Yeah.
even that uh, did not reflect,
Mm-hmm.
was a reflection of every Black household. And,
Yeah.
Hispanic households, Asian households. I mean, like, you know, it
Yeah.
maybe we would do better with each other if we all could learn more about each other. And TV is a great way because people will watch TV. They might not read a book, they might not do a lot of other things, but they'll watch TV.
That's true. Yep.
Mhm.
I had that conversation with Jackson, I guess last week when we were talking about the Little Mermaid and um I had said to him that, people were kind of upset about it. And he said, "Well, why?" And I said, well, in the original movie, The Little Mermaid, he calls them, he calls, what does he refer to them as? Um, Peach people. So, and he refers to Black people as brown. So
Mhm.
I said that the Little Mermaid in the original movie was Peach. And in this one, she's brown. And he said,
Mhm.
"Oh, okay, well, what's wrong with that?" And I said, "Well, people were upset because they want the remake to look like the original. And
Mhm.
the little brown girl doesn't look like the original." And he said, "What? That doesn't make sense. She can be whoever she wants. She can be whatever she wants." And I said, "Well, yes, I agree. And I think that's why people have decided to explore these different options of how things can look in a remake."
Do we
Um,
know any background about why they chose her for the role? I mean, was it just a matter of auditioning and she was the best person, or were they
oh,
intentional about,
like
getting
choosing her.
somebody of color?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. That's a good question. I do know that this young lady that they did choose is extraordinarily talented. She is,
About to be in the color purple
yeah,
remake in December, I want to say, of this year. That
yeah.
Oprah is doing with Fantasia and Taraji P. Henson and all of those. So yeah.
Yep. Yep. She is a talent. That girl can sing for sure. So
Mhm.
I'm excited to see her and do her thing and just excited to have little brown girls see themselves on the big screen.
Absolutely.
Because I
That's
remember
why we're
growing up.
writing more books. We're seeing
Yeah.
more books with with the natural hair on the cover, and
Yes. Yes. I
so
love that.
I like that, but I just think it should be a representation across the board of everybody,
Yeah.
because it's truly the world in which we live. I mean,
Hmm.
like,
Yeah.
um, I don't, I will, yeah, it's the
I
world.
think I think Disney is doing their best, I guess, in trying to showcase everybody or our differences. They're doing, what they can, I guess. And then, but some people are not very happy with that. Um,
Well, like
like,
I said, it makes people uncomfortable.
yeah, yeah.
Um, I mean, the more I feel like the world is just getting on edge about a lot of things.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I
I mean,
agree.
I see this movement, with women, women in general, and then women of color.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like it is making people uncomfortable. I don't know if one group, whatever that group is, gaining
Mm-hmm.
makes another group feel like they are
Yeah.
losing,
Being taken, yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah.
taking a step back or something.
Yeah. And I think that's where the fear comes in, is like, what they're gonna take, my rights or my life as I know it. And I think what people are actually trying to do is gain the same kind of life
Hmm.
that other people have had the privilege of having. We're not really trying to take anything away from
Hmm.
anyone. We are just trying to gain the same rights essentially. But that, I guess, can feel threatening to people. I don't know.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
but speaking of Disney, there was a teacher at a Florida public school, who ended up being reported to the Department of Education after a student told their mom that this teacher showed a specific Disney film that has a gay character in it.
Hmm.
And I'm not sure what it was, an elementary school class. And so, this student went home and shared that information with the mom, or with their family. And this family was not very happy about the teacher's choice um, of this particular movie. Now, I've seen this movie. I watched it with Jackson, and I did not know beforehand that it, starred a male. He was a male teenager who was gay. I didn't know that going in. So I kind of was a little bit like surprised by it too, because in my mind I said, "Oh, okay, well, we're gonna have to have a conversation. We're gonna, talk about this character." And so when I heard this story about this teacher, part of me thought, as a mom, like, I understand feeling something when you hear that other people are introducing something to your child that you have not had the chance to, talk to them about. And then, because what questions will come up for them, and who are they getting the answers from if not you? So on one hand, I do understand the, hesitation, I guess. Um, because I had the same thing when we came across that part of the movie. I think the character like liked another little boy and maybe gave the other boy a little peck. And so in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, Jackson's gonna have some questions about that, and I'm gonna have to have some answers. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's a catch-22, I think, because you want to kind of, protect your child from learning certain things from other people that are not you. And then on the other hand, I feel like, kind of like you said, we have to be open and tolerant and like teach that to kids. And I don't know,
So
maybe
I
that's.
don't know that I would want anybody teaching my kid about certain things.
Mm-hmm.
However, I'm just trying to figure out. and thank God I'm not in the classroom anymore. Because
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to figure out, how do you get around it nowadays? I mean,
Right.
it's everywhere. It's in commercials.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's in, I mean, things, you would think watching a movie is one thing, but a commercial is another.
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
it's everywhere.
It
And like
is.
I said, um, Hollywood is going to ensure that they represent all sectors.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it's for the money, I don't know what it's about. I don't know if they're doing it to be fair to everybody or if they're just doing it for the money. I don't know. But I know it's difficult to get around it
Yeah.
because, I've had my grandbabies with me and I've seen same-sex couples,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
interacting, holding hands, kiss, whatever, and I just don't know that there's any way around it. And I don't know. I mean, that teacher could have just known that that was a new movie out.
Uh-huh.
She
Yeah.
could not even have kids. Maybe she just heard it's a new movie and she went and got it and said, "Oh, I'll get this for
Right.
them to watch." And lo
Yeah.
and behold, she may have felt uncomfortable when she saw it.
Well, here's what she
By the
said.
time she saw it,
It had already happened. Right. She was caught off guard, kind of like I was. Here's what she said. I had permission slips signed for the students, but did not obtain approval for the specific film. I was under the impression that the permission slip was sufficient and was unaware of any policy or procedure in place concerning the approval of specific films. If there was such a policy, I am unaware of it ever being followed by my fellow teachers. This is not an excuse, but I'm a first year teacher
hmm
and learn something new every day.
hmm
Um, that statement about like I thought I was following procedure. Nobody else has followed anything
So
different.
I
So
was just about to say I would have gotten parental consent, but
mhm,
I literally would have put the movie on there.
okay.
I
So you
don't care if it
taking it a
was,
step further.
yeah, I don't care if it was Sesame Street. I would have said the episode,
Just to
a
avoid,
description of what it was about, because that is also the world in which we live.
right.
It's such a sensitive place now. You never know what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah.
I mean, you just never know. And I mean, I'm not defending the teacher. I'm not defending the parent. I literally, as you say, see both sides. Like
Mhm,
I really do. But I still ask the question, what route do we take to
right.
avoid our kids? It's like what you said, it's just time to have conversations
Hmm.
because it is what it is. It ain't going nowhere.
It's not. It's
It
not.
may not be your belief, but
Right.
you're not gonna stop it. You're not gonna stop it from being.
Yeah. And you can't shelter. I mean, you can try as much as you want to shelter your kids from certain things, but like you said, it is everywhere. You can be out in the community and you cannot stop people from showing their affection. Um,
Mhm.
and so, there's a lot going on in Florida with this, governor who is supposedly running for president, but in March of 2022, Ron DeSantis signed some sort of legislation saying that this was a form of parental rights, right? Like parents being informed and knowing what their kids are watching. And I get that. But other opponents of this have tried to make the argument that it erases LGBTQ people from schools, and I think they called it like the "Don't Say Gay" law.
Mhm.
Um,
Oh,
and
that's right. They can't say the word. Mm.
right. No, it says the law initially applied to kindergarten through third grade, but last month, Florida's state education board voted to expand the law's scope to include all grades through high school. And teachers who violate this state policy can
Oh,
be
so
suspended.
K2 through 12 teachers can't say the word,
I guess so.
or
And then,
anybody in the schools can't say the word.
right. Um,
Oh,
if
that's gonna be rough.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that, if they violate this, parents' rights legislation, they can be suspended or have their teaching license revoked. It goes on to say that the teacher, her last name is Barbie, didn't know the law had been expanded to her grade level. When she
The
showed
same one that showed the film.
yeah, yeah. She said I had no
What's
idea
the
what
film?
oh, I'm forgetting the name of it. I
Oh,
need
that's
to
okay. I just wondered. Yeah.
uh
Um,
Stranger Things, I think it was called.
mhm.
It was a really cute movie. You know, I didn't know. And so when I realized it, I just thought, well, okay, he may have some questions. And who better to explain than his mom or his dad?
Mhm.
Um, so, but yeah, there's quite a lot of things going on in Florida with the education system and banning certain curriculum and it's just a whole lot going on in Florida right now with the governor Ron DeSantis and this teacher showing this Disney video was just one of those
Many
examples.
things. So, you know, I hear a lot about people being upset about, that particular community. And some of the people, most of the people that I've talked to, they're not like they don't have this phobia about
Mm-hmm.
people that are gay or
Mm-hmm.
LGBTQIA
Mm-hmm.
plus. I think that's
Right.
the
Right.
community. But what their problem is that they feel like something's being forced
Uh-huh.
on them. And again, I mean, if we're gonna be all inclusive,
Mm-hmm.
then how do we do it where you don't feel like something's being forced on you?
Right.
I mean,
Right.
from a Christian perspective, I feel like I've gotta be kind and accepting of all people. I don't have
Mm-hmm.
to be accepting of sin or
Right.
but just people in general. I mean, I'm just saying it's not my place to
Right. To
judge.
judge. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Um,
So what does all inclusive look like?
mhm.
Where everybody is happy. And I don't think there is a such thing.
Yeah, I don't either. I think one of the parents said, something like you showed a movie that wasn't sanctioned for school material, and that stripped my 10-year-old's innocence. So I guess it was fifth grade. Um, and like I said, I understand that perspective too, because there are certain things that I want to be
So that parent is that parent saying that their child had never known anything about anybody
I
gay?
guess so. I guess.
Wow.
So. Yeah. Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. I mean that begs the question of like by fifth grade, or have you purposely sheltered
Shelter.
them?
Hmm.
Right.
And
Um,
how did you do it? Like,
right, right. Very interesting. So I get both sides, but I don't know that I know for a fact I would not have called the school and complained. I just would have had a conversation with Jackson when he got home about what questions do you have or what did it bring up for you or what do you think?
mhm.
But I wouldn't have been one of those parents to complain and call the school board. I mean, I just don't think it's that
Well,
serious.
I don't think every parent is as confident in
Right,
themselves or even their kids or what, I mean, in terms of what will the child buy into,
right,
you know.
right. There's all
And
those
we're
feelings.
at a break. We're gonna go to break. We'll be right back in a moment on 94.7 FM.
Yeah. We're back. Thanks for hanging out with us on this Saturday. We have been talking a little bit about Disney movies since the new Little Mermaids has come out yesterday, and I'm excited to see it. And that kind of led us to a conversation about a teacher in Florida who got a lot of complaints for showing a Disney movie with a child a character who was gay. So we were talking a little bit about, how we um, how we do this being inclusive thing, and making everybody feel welcome and not judged. And it's a hard conversation, because not everybody is always open to being inclusive, right? Not everybody actually wants that.
Right.
Some folks just don't. So there
My
was
thing, for the people that get so angry
uh-huh.
that they are aggressive, they
Yeah.
lash out at people in
Uh-huh.
public, like the hate crimes and
Hmm.
that kind of stuff. Now you're taking it too far. If you don't believe it,
Yeah.
if you don't believe in it, whatever it is, whether it's somebody's sexuality, whether it's
Hmm.
somebody's race, whether it's somebody whatever, because they're different from you, and that's not what you like to see, um,
Yeah.
then you know I mean, I see stuff all the time that I don't necessarily care for, but I
Uh-huh.
would walk up to somebody and
Yeah.
have something crazy to say,
Yeah.
and I'm not gonna be, and I'm not saying that this parent was, I mean, but there are situations where people are like just lawsuit happy and they're
Right.
looking for a reason,
For a
you
reason.
know.
Hmm. Yeah.
So um, I mean, the world is a different place. I mean, like
Mhm.
I look back on some of the characters when I was growing up that I watched, some of them may have been, they weren't portrayed as such,
Mhm. Mhm.
but maybe you find out later that, okay,
Right.
yeah, in real life,
Uh-huh.
that's
Yeah.
what they are, but it was, they weren't portrayed as such. But I don't know. I have a really funny story that just keeps popping in my head, but I'm like, I'm not gonna share that here about my grandmother and just the way she used to feel about certain commercials that came on and just felt like, what is the world coming to?
Uh-huh.
And that very commercial that keeps popping in my head, somebody would see that commercial now and not even give it a second thought.
Right.
Anybody. And it's just like, so I'm making the point where we're in different times. It's a different time.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
you just kind of have to change with the times, not change who you are, but be more accepting of
Yeah.
change.
Be more
Um,
tolerant
be
and
more
open.
tolerant of
Yeah.
it. I
Yeah.
won't even say accepting, tolerant, because
Mhm.
you may not accept it, but
Well, I mean,
you gotta live like, I can't really do anything. You know what I mean?
yes. And it just reminds me of those people who are really against being open-minded and tolerant. Like I've heard people say, like, our country is slipping away from us, and
Oh my God. I just had a conversation with somebody. We saw a bumper sticker the other day. We're
mhm.
riding and we saw this bumper sticker and I was like, and I was like, what does that really mean? Like,
Uh-huh.
and I
Uh-huh.
was like,
Yeah.
that to me is somebody
Mhm.
that is of a certain mindset
Yes.
and they feel like because certain groups of people are moving up in the world that they
Mhm.
are losing. Like I said, when other
Yep.
people are gaining, they're losing. And it's
Yep.
so hilariously funny to me. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. There's no way for all of us to win, because
yeah.
for some other folks to win, I have to lose. And
Mhm.
I'm not open to giving up any of the control that my dad, my grandpa, my great grandpa have had for decades,
Mhm.
is what it says to me.
Mhm.
Um, and people are just,
I was talking to a friend of mine who's white, a white male.
mhm.
I was asking him about something, and he said, I only have a white male perspective on that. He
Mm,
said, now I do know right from wrong or whatever, but
mm,
my perspective is going to be from a white male's perspective.
yeah,
And he said, which says there's a lot more to be talked about and worked through.
yeah,
He said, but if more white men could admit
mhm, mhm,
that they think from a white male perspective,
yeah,
that alone would be a huge step.
yeah. I totally appreciate him saying that.
Yeah.
Like, because we know it, right? We know that when he speaks, he's speaking from a white male
Mhm,
perspective. But for him to share that, like to make it known that he also knows that is
mhm,
feels pretty huge to me.
mhm.
Awareness is key. Um, yeah, so you know, there's a lot of you know, we've come far, so to speak, but there's still a lot of underlying, you know, institutionalized racism that
Systemic.
people deal with
Mhm,
every day. Yeah, yeah.
mhm.
So for example, there was this student, a high school sophomore, in Missouri, and she got suspended for 3 days after she recorded her teacher using a racial slur in class. So I guess this teacher, you know, used the N word sometime.
Was it a white or black teacher?
I was a white teacher.
Mhm,
Happened on May 9th,
mhm.
in a math class, I believe it was, when the student's teacher used a slur more than once, it says, and the student decided to pick up her cell phone and start to record. She recorded the teacher, whom the school district did not publicly identify, although this article identifies that teacher or student's name, which I think is crazy because that she's clearly under 18. So they released her name, but the school district would not publicly identify the teacher who used the N-word twice in the video. Video lasted about a minute, and another student in the video was objecting to the teacher using the word. And so the teacher apparently responded, I'm not calling anyone the N word, but I can say the word, was this teacher's response. So the teacher got fired.
Oh God, I feel weak. I
Yeah.
don't know why this is so funny.
I mean, because the audacity of somebody to say to
Why do you think I asked? So was it a white teacher or a black teacher? Because like, we got these rules.
uh-huh, uh-huh. Yes, we do. We
Oh
do.
gosh. Oh gosh.
Um,
No,
yeah.
you can't say the word. And particularly since there's so much technology, just do the right thing, people, because you
Yeah.
don't know who's got those cameras on. Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah. This student was a 15-year-old girl. She said, when it was, you know, happening, she said, I'm gonna document this. I'm gonna stand up for what's right no matter what. And I'm going to make sure that this is brought to light. Um, which I think is so brave of her.
I guess I have to say good for her.
Yeah.
Like, I have to be totally honest. I'm so exhausted from having these conversations.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I'm so exhausted from the what do we call the microaggressions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so exhausted that I mean, really,
Right.
it is freaking 2023.
And we are still.
We are still we're not fussing and fighting and competing over, just money or jobs or
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. The fact that people are still being
Mm-hmm.
judged
Yeah.
based on skin tone.
Yep.
I like to call it skin tone.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate Jackson's perspective, peach people, brown people. I remember having the lady Jane Elliott on the show,
Mm-hmm.
and the one that did the experiment with the blue eyes, brown eyes
Mm-hmm.
back in the
Mm-hmm.
70s.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, "Look at me, what color am I?" And she said, "And do not say white, because I am
Oh.
not." So she's like, I'm what? I'm pink. I'm peach.
Uh-huh.
Um, but the whole premise of what she was saying was that we all have the same skin. We just have different tones and shades of skin, but we're all inside of our skin.
Yeah.
we're made of skin. We got skin that covers us, like, and we limit ourselves in life so much over skin tone. We may lose out
Yeah.
on great friendships,
Yeah.
relationships.
Yep.
It's crazy. Now, I don't have a
Chances to
problem with a person
learn.
that says, I really like dark skinned people, or I like fair skinned people, or I mean, to me, that's and I don't mean, I'm just saying in terms of dating or something like that, when people have certain preferences or whatever. To me, that's like liking somebody short or tall. But you're not saying you don't like the person,
Right.
just saying your preference would be somebody brown and somebody dark brown. I just don't understand people.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate that this student had to be the one responsible for an adult's actions, right?
Well,
Like,
I'm kind of excited about whatever this generation of folks are
me
doing.
too. Yeah.
They are standing up in a way.
Yeah.
I say all the time, they ain't having it.
Yep.
So
They are going to change the
world
world.
better get better, because
Yep. They're going to change the world because they are not timid. They are not shy. They are willing to stand up for what they believe in. And I'm here for it. It's unfortunate that this young lady got suspended for 3 days
for recording.
for recording. Now the school said something about like she violated the school cell phone policy. You know, they whatever.
Oh,
But she was concerned because she said, I wanted to provide indisputable documentation of the monumental wrong that she witnessed. And she didn't understand why she got punished because she thought she was doing the right thing. She was also concerned, she said, about the possible backlash when she returned to school after the suspension. She was worried about how she was going to be treated and worried about how it was going to affect her moving forward in her, educational pursuits. And that just made me really sad for her because when you stand up for something
when did this happen?
May 9th.
So she got how many days? 3 days. So
Mhm.
she's gone back to school now. We don't know.
Right. She's gone back to school. And it just made me sad for her because you shouldn't have to carry that weight of, is this going to impact my ability to, get into a good school, or, how are teachers going to treat me after this, or, that should not be a burden that this young lady has to carry because somebody else decided to be irresponsible with
I think
their,
it's bold that they suspended her.
yeah. She got it, her parents got an attorney and everything. Um, So, they are trying to handle it that way because I think it was unjust. If any consequence should have been, given, it should have been to that teacher who was using a word that
And
we all know.
who thought it was okay to say, I'm not calling you the N-word, but I can say
I can say it.
the N-word. Like, there are a lot of words that I just should not say. Even if I'm not calling somebody that, I just shouldn't be saying that, especially in the classroom as a teacher.
Yeah, especially.
Like, what the what? For real.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, part of me is glad school is now over because there are just certain things that happen in certain things that can happen at school that don't sit well with us, right? Like we're giving teachers our kids for 8 hours and they are tasked with an enormous job, right? Teachers are social workers and moms and dads, and like they wear so many hats in the classroom, but and they're so underpaid, and we all know that. But I feel like the summer gives both a break, gives the teachers a break, it gives the students a break from the teachers a break from the students, because things are just going to happen when you have one adult in the room, not things like what we're talking about, but just other things are going to happen when you have one adult in the room and 25 kids, like how it's almost inevitable.
Mhm.
So when the school year ends, there's probably a sigh of relief for everybody,
Oh,
including
no doubt
the
about it.
teachers, the
No
parents,
doubt
and
about
the
it.
students.
It's got to be in the top 10 hardest jobs,
Oh yeah.
of the world. It's a huge job, and there are really, really great teachers in the world. I know a
Mhm.
lot of them, a lot
Mhm.
of them. And so when one teacher does something like that, it's not a reflection
Right.
of the whole, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was crazy for her to even say, but because to me, that's somebody that what is the phrase you've been using that I love so much? That's somebody that's just doubling down on their belief. Like, oh, I
Mhm.
ain't call you one, but I can say the word. Like, why do you need to say that word?
Right. For what?
What was that about?
Yeah. In so 15, what is that, ninth grade, eighth grade, ninth grade? What's the purpose? What point are you trying to prove to these 15-year-olds
So
that you
sometimes I don't think people are trying to prove something to. She may have not been trying to prove as much to the kids as she was to
well,
the
that's I mean the
people that
teacher.
I'm saying than she was to people that think like her. Like,
Mhm.
hey, yeah, I did this. I told him, yeah, I can say the word. And, to me, I can see somebody like that boasting about it. Like, yeah, I can say the
Um,
word.
uh-huh.
No,
Yeah.
you can't. And she best be glad she got out of there without a scratch or a bruise these days.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like, I
Absolutely.
don't condone that, but that's what we're seeing a lot of too.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. All I've seen I've seen so many videos of,
Hmm.
teachers just not having it no more. Not
Hmm.
having it. I get it.
Yeah.
The student's mother said that she said what any parent wants to know is that they have raised a child that has a good moral compass. My daughter demonstrated that, and I'm incredibly proud of her,
Oh,
and
me
so
too.
with her father and extended family.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. Kudos to her. I know schools have those, cell phone policies and whatnot, but again, when we talked about like the world we now live in is so different from the world that, even I grew up in just, however many years ago. Um, I am shocked sometimes when students have cell phones out in the classroom. And I feel like sometimes teachers they've just adapted to it. Like it's just normal. I mean, they're not supposed to have them out, but
Yeah,
I've
I
been,
almost feel like teachers just need to find a way to incorporate them into the lessons or whatever, because they're just about gonna be out.
yeah, for sure. Well, we are at another break.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we will be back in just a moment on Doctor to Doctor in the chat room on 94.7 FM. We will see you on the other side of the break. And we're back on 94.7 FM, Doctor to Doctor in the chat room. We've been talking about incidents that have been going on in our schools, from the teacher that showed a film that wasn't so appetizing for the parent of at least one child, the teacher being reported by a student using inappropriate language or saying the N word. We were talking off air about how, starting with the pandemic first, and
Mm-hmm.
then when you incorporate all of these types of incidents that we've talked about today, because there have been many. You see things all the time on social media, clips of certain things happening within the schools. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
that, along with the pandemic, we're losing our teachers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there are more teachers that more people going into other fields now. Um, People are having to be creative about how to get teachers. I know Tennessee just gave a raise, because you have to include that too.
Mhm.
on top of everything that they go through, they weren't being paid well. And I think the base salary for Tennessee now, I believe, is going to be $50,000,
Wow.
like for a first year teacher. You know, and you got to be about 18 to 20 years old to feel like that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, for sure.
Uh-huh. You know, and then when you add to that the cost of a 4-year degree,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know, and so now fewer people are actually going to school to become
Mm-hmm.
teachers because
Yeah.
folks are saying, you know, they can't even put up with what teachers have to do. You
Yeah.
know, not only do you have to put up sometimes with unruly
Mm-hmm.
behaviors,
Mm-hmm.
right? But you know, you also have to put up, like I said, with not getting enough pay. Most teachers have second jobs.
Right.
um you know, you have to put up with the fact that your evaluation is going to be based on whether these kids decide they want to learn or not,
Mm-hmm.
which
Mm-hmm.
I think is so unfair
It is.
because I can't make a kid. I may be the kind of teacher, and I feel like I was, that could make kids excited about learning, but you've always got one,
Mm-hmm.
at least, that just doesn't want to. And it may be because of stuff that they have going on otherwise.
Sure.
Not
Yes.
saying I'm
Yes.
not sitting in the judgment seat about it, but the fact remains I may not be able to make that child learn. So
Right.
that could tremendously skew my scores
Mm-hmm.
as a teacher.
Yeah.
So there's just been a decline in just that esteem for
Yeah.
teachers.
Yeah. And I get it because, not only are they responsible for, educating these young minds, but teachers are responsible for even getting supplies in their room in order to do that. And
Oh
most of
yeah.
these teachers are spending their own money because the school district doesn't have it. And I mean, you're putting all of these burdens, the red tape, the evaluations, and
Mm-hmm.
everything falling back on you as the teacher when your, students don't perform well. Like that is a ton of pressure to put on
Mm-hmm.
somebody and then to slip them $50,000 a year and they're supposed to be grateful or happy or fulfilled. Like
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense to me.
And I don't know what it went up from. Like, I don't know, did it go up from, 48
Right.
to 50,
What
or
was it before?
I don't
Yeah.
know what the baseline salary was, but I know, the way the teacher pay scale is, like, it's based on your degree and your number of years.
Okay.
So, for a teacher to make, even close to $100,000,
Hmm.
they would have to have probably 20 plus years in the field
Wow.
and like a doctorate.
Wow.
Hmm.
Yeah. And what have they dealt with?
So most people that go
Years.
into that field, it's like a ministry. It's something that they
Yeah.
want, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then when you get in there, and if you're treated that way,
Yeah. Yeah. It reminded me of what that teacher in Florida was saying. Like, I'm a first year teacher. I didn't know that I signed up for this.
yeah.
The criticism and the, being told
And
on.
she's probably devastated.
Yes.
I mean, to have something go all the way to the Board of Education. I mean, is it Board of
Yeah.
Education or State Department of Education? Which,
State Department, I think.
oh God, she's devastated.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. She was just, I have to believe that when a teacher decides to show some movie video, that there's good intentions behind it. Like I have to believe that. And so for you to get all of the backlash and be on the news for a decision that you made with good intentions and no malice, like I have to believe that that's a huge blow to
Yeah.
you as a professional.
Yeah, because I'm telling you, in my day, I probably wouldn't have even, like I said, if I had shown the movie, I would have sent home a consent form with
Hmm.
very detailed consent form.
Hmm.
But most likely, I would have been like, you know what? If this is a free day, we're gonna do a classroom talent show. We're
Hmm.
gonna, you know what I mean? I would have been
Yeah.
a little more creative because turning that TV on every
Yeah,
time. I mean, like, mm-mm.
you could potentially run into some
And
stuff.
I could see that. But I don't know if I don't know if I thought like that as a first year teacher. I probably as a
Right.
first year teacher just thought, oh, we're gonna watch that. Somebody could have had a problem with something that was I was showing because I'm sure
Hmm.
probably showed at that low, Barney or
Hmm.
something that somebody probably would have
Right.
looked sideways about. Yeah.
Well, and I wonder if she thought, it's a Disney movie, so it has to be quote unquote appropriate because
Probably.
that's probably what people would assume.
But
But
would you really have you not seen some Disney movies that kind of, I mean, they may not have anything about, that, but oof, you
I
just
think a
like, and
lot of
this is Disney.
yeah, a lot of movies that I see that are supposed to be children's movies, I'm like, oh man, like
Yeah,
did they include that part so the parents would be entertained, or what are we doing? Because yeah, sometimes I think it's a bit much for a kids movie, but
yeah,
you know, I'm not a producer or anything. So,
yeah, yeah.
one of the other interesting things that happened recently, again in Florida. So we all remember Amanda Gorman. She did the poem that got so much love during Biden's inauguration. Um, she said that she felt gutted because the Florida school district has decided to restrict her poem from being read or being part of the curriculum.
Hmm.
The poem that she read was called excuse me, The Hills We Climb.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and now it will only be accessible to middle school students at one specific education center in Miami. The poem was the country's first ever youth poet that was read at the inauguration in 2021. And, one of the parents who I guess claimed that the poem had contained some hate messages, which I don't recall. I don't recall hearing any hate messages in that poem. I recall it being very uplifting and very inspirational, but I don't recall any hate messages that this parent is has indicated feeling as the reason why this poem needs to be banned.
So,
Um,
so have they been, whoever it is that wanted to ban it, have they been successful in doing so?
yeah,
Oh,
have been. Yep. And Amanda responded to it. She said, I wrote The Hill We Climb so that all young people could see themselves in a historical moment. Ever since I've received countless letters and videos from children inspired by the hill we climb, um, inspired to write their own poems. So, this young woman has been a huge inspiration to children, right? Of all colors, of all races. And unfortunately, she too is experiencing some backlash um, in Florida. So I don't quite understand what is going on in the school system in Florida. I'm a little disappointed by it, not at all amused.
are these all the same areas? About
This happened in Miami. And so the mayor of Miami, he also responded to this, and he said to Amanda specifically, your poem inspired our youth to become active participants in their government and to help shape the future. We want you to come to Miami-Dade to do a reading of your poem. If you're in,
oh
we will.
yeah, because Miami-Dade is, I can see them being, yeah.
Yeah. So, I was really proud of this young woman. I think she was only like 21 or 22. She was pretty young. And to be, first of all, invited to the inauguration
Yeah,
is huge. But
yeah.
then to be asked to read something that you wrote and to receive so much. um, love from people had to have been amazing. I'm sure she was not expecting that, not on
Right,
that level, right?
right.
And then for months later or years later, for your original thoughts to be banned.
So it's the poem that she did at
Mhm.
the inauguration?
Yep,
Oh, I
yep,
missed that part.
yep, yeah. It's unfortunate. Again, I don't remember anything hateful about that poem
But
as
like
this.
I said, it's so much sensitivity, you know. Um, hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So
So
this,
I'm reading. So the complaint filed against Gorman's book, The Hill Recline, named for the poem she famously recited at the president's swearing in 2021, alleges that the work is non-educational,
Mhm.
contains indirect hate speech, and shouldn't be in schools. Wow.
Right? Crazy. I just, this is the world we live in, where you can take something and twist it or mangle it in such a way that other people latch on and go, yeah, this, you're right. There was some hate speech in that. I mean,
And
again,
she's probably devastated too.
oh my God.
She's so young.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, something that this is this young woman's craft, and she is good at it, right? So much that she got invited to the inauguration. To have somebody tear your stuff up like that
Mhm.
and misinterpret it, and attach a bunch of negativity to it, I can't even imagine. Can't even imagine. Now, she seemed really, I watched a couple interviews with her, and she seems like a super mature young lady. And
Oh, for
so
sure.
I'm hoping that she's just letting this kind of roll
Roll
off.
off. Yeah,
Yeah. And that
me
she's not
too.
taking it personal because,
And that, yeah, and that she'll write something even more,
yeah, this will
breathtaking.
inspire her. Yeah.
Mhm.
I hope, I hope so.
Yeah.
Um, there were a few times over the past decade or so, that we had thought about moving to Florida. And now that all this stuff is happening, like God, the Trayvon Martin verdict and the ability to stand your ground and all this stuff that's happening with the educational system in Florida, I'm really happy that we did not choose to move there because oh, we would have to move again. I'm not sure how Black and brown people can feel safe with all of these
Mhm.
changes happening in Florida and all of this upholding of what feels really, I don't know, is racist the right word? Is that too strong? I don't know, but it feels like something that it shouldn't feel like. And
Mhm.
I feel for the Black and brown families in Florida with all of this stuff happening. So, and not that it's just Florida,
Yeah,
it's pretty
that's
much,
true. That's very true.
so we just
Um,
gotta do better.
I know that we are close to the end of the show, and I just wanted to remind our audience again, if you listen in to us every Saturday, please go to the Doctor2Doctor in the Chatroom Facebook page and like our page. Find us on YouTube and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm gonna send you guys a direct request for that. I keep forgetting. I'm old. I'm going to do it because I think we've really been using our YouTube channel more so as an archive place, but now I'd love to have you guys, really have it active. So subscribe to our YouTube channel, um, like and follow our Facebook page where we post the shows. You can go back and view and listen in if you don't catch us on Saturdays at 2. Um, We would appreciate it if you guys would do that for us.
Yeah. Suggest some topics too. Tell us what y'all wanna hear about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, speaking of suggesting topics, I did have one of our loyal listeners, Miss Mary Robertson. How are you, ma'am? I hope you're doing well. We want to try to get some young men that are single dads to come on and talk to us about your experience. We would love to hear your perspective on parenthood, fatherhood, and from a single parent perspective. So if you know somebody, get in touch with us. You can reach us on our Facebook page. It's a great place for you to reach out. You can send us something in Messenger and just let us know. And we got you.
Right. It's been fun. Been another fun one.
Absolutely. And until our next fun one, we will see you guys back here next Saturday. Same chat channel, same chat time, right here on Doctor in the Chat Room on 94.7 FM. We will see you then.